Buongiorno, my name is Umberto Clerici. I'm coming to the Opera House to conduct the Cine Symphony Orchestra in a program featuring Biber, Georges Lentz violin concerto, is a world premiere, and Strauss. The soloist is Arabella Steinbacher, and I'm really looking forward to see you there. So the three pieces in this concert are the Biber Battaglia, is a piece written in 1673, so 350 years ago today. Then the new Georges Lentz's violin concerto that was written from 2018 all through COVID until this year. So it has exactly 350 years this span from the first piece. And then Als sprach Zarathustra, big tone poem of Richard Strauss that got very famous on the Kubrick movie Space Odyssey. Usually when I build programs, I want that the program has a story. So how these pieces are related is quite simple. The center is this new commission. It seems obvious, but it's not. Georges is a really special composer, and because he's not just a composer, he can take all the time in the world to compose a piece. So he doesn't compose a lot, but what he composes, it's really relevant. And so he's not just a violin concerto, he's extremely creative and experimental violin concerto. So I thought, what do we put before? And say, well, Biber was a German violinist that was famous to be extremely experimental. This piece that I transcribed for a chamber orchestra, originally was only for 10 players. It's called Battaglia 10. Has any kind of effects, Bartok pizzicatos, the double bass, in order to imitate a snare drum, has to put a piece of paper between the strings. So if you think it's 350 years old, it's incredible how modern it is. And so I thought, okay, he was a crazy violinist. Georges is in a way a crazy violinist. Artists should be a little bit crazy, otherwise what's the point? And I said, why can't we find a connection between these two worlds of experimenting with the violin? The Strauss, well, Georges' music is very philosophical. It's a lot based on the idea of immortality. So it's related to philosophy, it's related to cosmos. And I thought, well, we need to contextualize also with the classical repertoire, classical in the sense of well-known and why classical music is known worldwide. Zarathustra is perfect, is philosophical with Nietzsche, but is also related with the cosmos and with the space because of the use Kubrick made. And so I thought this span of 350 years from pre-Baroque to the late Romanticism to Georges, through this philosophical and experimental path, was the best way to create a narrative. For contemporary music, it's not so easy when you open a score to understand how it sounds, because concept of harmony and blending is very different, but also for every piece is different. So if you don't have a reference before, it's a first premiere, you don't know it. But the quality of the ideas and his specific notation, this is why he's handwritten, because he has a very clear idea of how he wants to use the tempo and the timing. And you know, music is the art of timing. So when I open, the idea is amazing. We now have to build, how can we transfer to this, to the ears of the players and therefore to the ears of the audience.